Hi, all you listeners out there. This is the Strictly Out of the Box broadcast, podcast. Remember, wake up, smell the coffee, and know what time it is. It's 1 minute to midnight. We have a great guest that I'm interviewing today, and her name is Candice Powers. And welcome to the show, Candice. Can you
Thank you,
hear me?
Robert. It's good to be here. I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Great. It's good
Um,
to be here.
yeah. Today's a special day. Um, you know about the storming of Area 51, right?
Yes.
I want to ask you, what do you think of it?
uh, well, it started out as a joke on Facebook with the website, not the website, but the page, Facebook page that fellow started, and then it just sort of got out of control. I think I'm a little disappointed about the timing, actually. I mean, I'm not against anyone doing whatever they want to do, although nobody's storming Area 51, of course not. But I think the timing could have been better because we had also at the very same time the climate strike, going on all over the world. And so I feel that not only did it draw people away from that possibly, but just distracted us from that larger thing going on. Young people all over the world, thousands and thousands.
So it could be a distraction strategized by the powers that be. Um, could have been planned that way, of course. Uh,
Yes.
but but
Yeah, sure.
I feel that well, it happened and it's going to take on a life of its own. Um, but we are battling things, the powers that be.
Yeah.
What else?
I also think I should just say too that it is a good way to draw attention to the fact that we're not getting any answers. Uh, People are very fed up with all the secrecy and cover-ups and the lack of cooperation, and pretty clear that people are ready for some answers.
Yes, I think that's what's going to happen. I think it's just only going to grow, and uh,
Yeah.
and it's going to tip the scales, and we are going to, one way or another, things are going to happen that we get answers, and we can improve the world. Is what we're looking to do. Because the way we let these corporates uh, get away with what they want to get away with, there's not going to be much of a world left.
It's very true. It's very true.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We're in very tumultuous and terrifying, as well as extremely exciting times, beautiful times, really,
Yes, it
for
is
everything going on.
It's exciting, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. We're on the verge of a huge breakthrough in human evolution. Human evolution doesn't happen linearly; it happens in leaps, and seems like we're in the process of an evolutionary leap at this time,
We
which
sure
doesn't happen
are.
all that often. Yeah.
Yeah. Everybody's going to wake up and say what time it is. It's time for a change.
Yes.
So,
Okay.
Candice, tell me how we met and what do you do? Let the listeners know what you do out there in the UFO, this strictly out of the box world that you're in.
Yeah. So I'm a co-founder of Boulder Exo. Um, I started that in 2009 with two other women, and we have been hosting speakers from around the country and around the world who come to speak about, give their message. We started out actually more nuts and bolts, where we were talking about lights in the sky, and people giving evidence of sightings and videos and testimony and so forth. And then not too long after, we moved into consciousness, because we realized that it wasn't about proving that they're here. It was more about trying to understand what it has to do with us and our consciousness and our evolution and our interaction and experiences with them. So I've been doing that for about 9 years, and I've just decided to, it's taken a lot of my time and energy over these past 9 years, so I've decided to move finally into doing the writing and other projects that I've been wanting to give my attention to. So, and you know, ufology has its own direction, and this kind of, I'm letting it, you know, go on its own and doing my own thing these days. So, but how I came to that was through my own experiences, of course. I've also had some, you know, ideas about those experiences as a result of just having so many different kinds of experience. The fact that it's not about the thing itself. You know, if you see a craft, it's not, the message is not necessarily, I mean, it could be for you, maybe for you, or not you personally, but anybody. It could be about their need to see something out of the ordinary, for instance, or maybe it's a specific craft wanting to interact with them, or maybe it's about just, hey, wake up. There's more to life than your everyday, you know, go to work and go to sleep.
Yeah.
So it's for me a lot about not the, like Thich Nhat Hanh said, he talked about the finger pointing at the moon, and it's not about that. It's not about the vehicle that's bringing the message, but it's about the message.
And the message is to save the planet and to save the humankind, and to evolve into doing better for the planet, better stewards, and better stewards not only of the planet but of our bodies and our minds. I totally agree with that. But I think right now it's more here, right here at our doorstep, you know, and the importance is really right there. That people have to make a decision whether to stand back or to move forward and be part of this. But it's up to them.
Yeah, I absolutely. You know, the whole nature of experience is about it's subjective. Number one, you know, it's all happening for each individual, in addition to collectively being shared, so that we can all bring more energy to this whole idea of waking up. Because I think that's the message. Everything having to do with who we are as human beings. You know, somebody said one time that we're not human beings having a spiritual experience. We're spiritual beings having a human experience. We're here to understand what it means to be in physical form in this density, to bring the light into that, to embody that. So we're having to deal with all of the chaos and all of the messiness of being in form and being on the planet in this illusion of separation, so that it serves as a push to help us, you know, push against that, to wake up to the fact that we're actually spiritual beings, and that we're here to ground that. We're here to embody that. So many people, you know, spend so much time trying to get out of their body or trying to have a spiritual experience, which is good, just to wake up to the fact that we are that, but to not focus everything there. I think the focus is more about bringing that spiritual understanding into form, into the body, and live it there. That's really what will take care of the planet. That's what will take care of all of us from a care first perspective, as opposed to a material or money first perspective. But we have to evolve spiritually. We have to come to this understanding, and I think that's what everything's about there.
Absolutely. Do you believe that we have came back before many times, that past lives? Do you believe that we had a lot of past lives?
I do. I think some souls are newer souls, and some souls are older souls. I think people, are in the process of waking up to the one soul. That we're diverse expressions of the unity. We're diverse expressions of the one source, and so there is this illusion of separation. But there is also a soul's path that seems to be on an individual level, but there's a bigger purpose. The bigger purpose of the soul is to express itself in form. In the case of human beings, I have a teacher I've worked with in the past who talked about these beings who were very powerful beings, could create and destroy worlds, but they weren't necessarily spiritual, and that they would like to have this experience down here of coming into body so that they can evolve on a spiritual level. But they are afraid because the way he put it, it's a crapshoot down here. He said it's hard because you lose yourself. And so they would much rather work through us. They would much rather contact us and kind of live vicariously that way, rather than coming into body and work.
So they're observing us all the time then, basically. I feel that they're watching everything, and that's probably how they're doing it. But my belief might not be all people's belief, but I believe that we are the daughters and sons of God, and therefore we are God. We have all these birthrights, these abilities that were given to us as we were born. But I believe that somehow in the past, they have outlawed it and outlawed you practicing these gifts, such as stopping storms or doing these fantastic things that we're able to do, because I can do them now. I can actually stop storms, divert lava flows, and I do many things. If I could do, believe me, a lot of things, but but we weren't taught that at school. And the old days, they used to say, well, that was witchcraft, and they absolutely shut it down by torture and burning at the stake. But my belief is to bring it back, to let people know that everything they want to know is actually inside them. All they have to do is knock and the door will be open, ask and they shall receive, and seek and they shall find. But I think religion has kind of said you can't call yourself God. It's blasphemy, and you can't do this, you can't do that. Do as we say, not as we do. But that's me. And you can either believe me, or don't believe me. It doesn't matter. But that's my philosophy.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, Robert. I think we're way more than we know. We have so much more ability, and we're so gifted, and we've been controlled and manipulated by our own egos. We're creator beings. We create all this stuff with our mental abilities to manifest in the world. With thought. I mean, thoughts are things. We think about things and they come to fruition. The very thing you're afraid of, you will often attract. And so Graham Hancock in Fingerprint of the Gods talked about the beings that came on this planet originally. There were so many of them that were seeding the planet, and then of course we were interbreeding after that, to the point where they kind of lost track of who was what and how to work with the human being, because we were sort of doing our own thing. So they left us for quite a while to evolve on our own. And we've made a mess of things quite a bit, but we have evolved. We're not as warlike. It seems like we are now, but we used to be a lot more barbaric than we are now. And but since we have come to this threshold of crossing the millennium, there's a galactic cycle that is happening in terms of our solar system moving around the galaxy toward the center, the galactic center. And so we're kind of on the upswing of our cycles at this particular time. And as a result, we're approaching a point of higher consciousness, and we're being faced with a choice to wake up, or actually, because we developed technology, we're continuing to develop technology to the point of being able to destroy ourselves utterly. And so we have a choice to wake up and embrace this spiritual understanding, which I believe the ETs are assisting us with. They're trying to help us with that, or we can end it all. And one of the big things that I have to say about technology too is AI. AI is a very big topic. It comes up a lot. It's come up a lot in the last few years in our Boulder Exo presentations and with people that we've had. And it seems that the ETs are also very concerned about this, because if AI gets out of control, we could actually destroy humanity. So, there's a lot of differing thoughts. People all want to reach nirvana in one way or another. There are atheists who call themselves transhumanism folks who are all about biohacking and, putting bionic parts in the body so that they can live longer and that kind of thing. But I think we're playing with fire. We don't realize that not any one group of us are godlike in the sense of being able to create life that is not human life, or that is not God-created life. So the AI is a form of that. It's an attempt to do that, and it's very egotistical and it's very dangerous, and we have to be very careful with that.
When you talking about this of AI, I had a past, in the past I've actually died, and I think you heard one of my talks. But the most profound thing that I found out when I was dying was one of the most profound things I just felt is that I was a creation. I was just like AI, but only in body, human flesh. But I was a creation, like, how we build things. Somebody built me. And I was just, because I was young, and young people tend to think that they're the center of the universe, kind of. But I felt, wow, I'm just a creation. So I just wanted to share that.
Well, Robert, can I ask what was that when you said you had the near-death experience? And I did hear that when you shared about it, and you talked about coming back. So are you saying now that while you were in the near-death state during your time out, that you realized at that point that you were creation, that you were?
No.
Let me make sure I understand.
I realized it while I was going through the death throes. Uh, after I went to where, after I flatlined there, I suppose, and went to speak to a man like Jesus, I didn't have those thoughts. But during the death throes, that's what I had. Like I was an automobile, just breaking down, and you know, it was that sort of feeling, and I couldn't control it, and that was it. You know, I was created, and bam, I was going out, and it was kind
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
anyway. It was like, you know, I realized a lot that I was a creation that was just going bad. I mean, not bad, but just not working. And so when I went over there to when I went to speak to Jesus, and all was said and all was done, I he sent me somewhere which was like a spaceship, and I was laying on a table, and a bunch of terrestrials' hands were working on me because I was already dead, but a bunch of hands were working on me to send me back to correct whatever went wrong with me, and they did, and I woke up in the hospital. But I
Yeah.
did
We hear a lot of those stories. Rob. Yeah.
I didn't want to
We hear
share with my
stories about.
I didn't want to share. It was in 1974, and I didn't want to share with my friends that I was taken up on this ship, you know, and that I didn't, and extraterrestrials were working on me, because it wasn't that
Yeah. Right.
clear at the time, but that's exactly what happened.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, and we hear a lot of those stories of healing by ETs. Many times, people have been taken and healed and brought back. You know, Travis Walton, a very famous case where he had uh, where he was taken with when he was out in the forest with a logging crew, and the movie Fire in the Sky was made about him.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and he thought for many years that, you know, they zapped him with this beam and then just abducted him for 5 days and did all kinds of things to him, whatever. But he finally came to the realization that they actually were in the process of leaving, trying to take off, and he had gotten out of the truck and ran up to the craft, and a beam snatched him because the radiation and the energy around the craft as it was leaving was dangerous for him to be so close to it, and it did damage his heart, and that they were repairing him on the craft before they returned him back to
I,
Earth.
I totally
Yeah.
believe that. Uh, a lot of people, I've been asked about people who have had experiences where the ETs come into their room and freeze them, and what was my take on that? My take was that perhaps they were just doing something because it wasn't your time to go, and they're correcting something in your body so that wouldn't, because that was not part of the plan. Uh, Something that maybe cancer was growing, a tumor, whatever it was, they were correcting it. But most people put a fear, and I think that's the wrong thing to do. Is people must have open minds, and because it's a big picture, you know, and we can't always be fearful. We have to have an open mind, and if they wanted to harm us, I think they could have done that long ago. But they're not here to harm
Oh
us.
yeah.
Maybe some species are out there have a more negative agenda, but it's the way it is. Yin and Yang, like you were talking about earlier.
Yes. Yeah.
Can you
Yeah. I think that go ahead.
can you explain the Yin and Yang? That what you
Yeah, sure. Yes. So the Asians believe that, well, the yin and yang symbol, right, is the circle with the F on the black side, there's a white dot, and on the white side, there's a black dot. So their view is about balance, yin and yang, yin being female, yang being male or masculine, quality of energy. And the view is that a balanced female has her yin, which is female, on the inside and her yang on the outside. So she holds the space, the feminine space on an inner level, but she acts more outwardly from that place. And a balanced male has his yang on the inside and his yin on the outside. You know, women used to say they like the strong, silent type, right? Because they could sense that masculine yang on the inside. They knew it was there, could feel it, but the outside was calm and sensitive. And, you know, because if you had a male who was yang yang, right, yang on the inside and the outside, that's a male that's out of balance and you know, macho and egotistical and tyrannical or whatever. And the same with a female. If a female is too yin, because she's yin inside and outside, she becomes too passive and dependent and you know, fearful and those kinds of things, and is not able to act on her own behalf. So the idea is to have, because we all have masculine and feminine within us. So so it's important to maintain a balance there.
Right. You know, I had a friend, a real good friend. Her name was Eva Garcia, and she told me things that, you know, I had to step back and kind of wonder if, you know, but she told me that angels were androgynous, that they were both female, male. And I had taken some photos of a thing on the craft, a person. And the photo, you can't tell if they're male or female because they look like both if you look at it. And now I can understand what she meant. And she said, Robert, you know, you had many past lives. And some of those lives you came back as a female. And I had to say, oh no, Eva, I'm strictly male. but she said, you know, I kind of hurted her feelings, and I realized that, and because I said, Eva, you're not a realist, and I'm a realist. And I stepped back and I thought, well, the things that I talk about, I'm, you know, people probably saying that I'm not a realist, but you know, and so I said, Eva, I'm sorry, I'll have an open mind, and she felt better about it, and that's when I left to work, and I had that time travel experience, that past life I was talking about. The past life where I went back and realized a lot of things are true, you know, that Eva was telling me about. Even though inside I knew they were true, but the part where I got caught up is being a female. Anyway, I don't know what that was all about. But now I feel much different about it.
Well, yeah. Well, it makes sense to me that angels, those beings who are more highly evolved, possibly, well, not possibly, most likely, it may be androgynous simply because they're so finely balanced. They're so well balanced that their masculine and feminine don't compete, or they don't, you know, there's no chance of that being out of balance. So it makes it difficult then to tell which is which, because it's so evenly and well blended. That's kind of a nice thought.
Right. And I seen the picture, and the picture that I took was on a bell craft like the one the Germans were working on. And
oh, wow.
Yeah, and on the craft itself was the picture, but the picture wasn't there on the original photo. after I blew it up twice, the picture appeared. Isn't that crazy? The picture was hiding
Mm,
in the second blow up. And
yeah.
it, and when I saw that perfect picture of the being, uh, I could only say that it looked like the hieroglyphs inside the pyramids. The people that have their arms kind of funny, the big eyes. Well, this person had the big eyes, not enormous, but bigger than our eyes, and no makeup, and was smiling. Um,
Mm,
yeah, so I
mm,
it was.
yeah.
I just thought I'd bring all that up because it. Um, anyway, can you share some more of that's important for our listeners to hear from you, Candice?
Um, well, you know, I I really think that it's important for people to understand the nature of our interaction with the the environment. And I'm not talking about just how we are with nature or for nature or in nature, but I'm talking about the fabric of the universe. You know, the environment in terms of um, how we connect and relate to everything. That everything is relational. I'm a numerologist, so I look at things from a number perspective. And in looking at the last two cycles, the one we just left, which was the 1000 cycle, meaning that by the time, and I'm talking about our calendar, our particular Gregorian calendar, that starts with the year one, right, 1 AD, and then has progressed up now to the year 2000. So we're actually embarking on our third millennium from the year 2000. We're moving toward we're living the third millennium. So the first millennium uh, had one energy because it was first, because it was the beginning. That's what the archetype of the number one is. It's masculine, having to do with penetration, having to do with forward movement, right? So it's very progressive in that way. So the first millennium of our calendar had this one masculine energy to help us develop. Then by the time we hit the year 1000, we were in the second millennium. We were beginning the second millennium, but it had one energy still because the number one was written into every date. So when I say interacting with the environment, I mean that everything is archetypal, everything is metaphoric. Everything that we do connects with the energy because we're all energetic, right? We all are expressions, we're all energetic, expressing as human beings. This is a vehicle, it's a body suit, that
Right.
we're wearing to house this energy. So everything we do has an impact on the environment energetically, right? So even writing, everything we write, that's a form of putting energy out into the
Exactly.
universe, right? So the number one was written into every single date for 1,000 years. It started with 1000, 1001, 1002, right? It was
Correct.
always the date started with the number one. So energetically, that one masculine energy was reinforced in the world. And therefore patriarchy, right, became the dominant rule. And so the last 1,000 years that we've been in has had a patriarchal energy that we've all been impacted by and interact with. Um,
Correct.
and the one also having to do with individual singularity is about the self. It's about just the self. And so all of us had a self that we just were sort of self-contained in and with. And by the time we hit the year 2000, we crossed that millennium, we moved into the feminine. So we moved out of a yang, masculine 1, and we have crossed the millennium now into a yin, female 2. So the 2 energy has to do with integration, and it also provides the mirror, me and you, 1 and 2, right? So there's a mirror that allows us to actually see ourselves in the other. Now, this also creates polarity and brings more awareness of duality. We're just in duality by being in a body on the planet already,
Right.
but the awareness of our duality is now stronger, which is why we're having all this conflict now. Used to be, Democrat, Republican, for instance, on a political level. They were opposites, but they weren't so polarized. I mean, people had an affiliation, but they weren't so like, life and death.
Right.
Right? That's happening now because we have the mirror. We're able to see more of the differences. And this is to be expected in the beginning of this millennium, because we're just starting out with this 2 energy. And hopefully we are moving toward integration. So 2 is also marriage, right? It's togetherness, it's cooperation, it's consideration of the other, it's community, and so so it's not about men all becoming women.
No,
like
I know.
that. What it is though
It's creation.
recognize. Well, yes, it's recognizing the differences within ourselves. The fact that we have both this masculine and feminine, which I think is a lot why the whole gender issue has come more to the forefront for the young people, because they're seeing this, they're feeling it more. They're more connected with the fact that there's more going on within, and working to break that somehow.
What I tell people is that exactly what you're saying, the marriage, 2 people coming together. And right now, the difference is recognizing them and getting used to, after years, then it won't be so bad as it is now. But it's labor pangs. But when all is said and done and the baby's born, then people are gonna love the baby, and it's gonna be a whole new era. And
Yes.
that's my belief, right? What's happening now is that all this is labor pangs.
Yes, that's a beautiful way of saying that. And if we look at 1 as masculine, we can say it's a father archetype, and 2 is feminine, like a mother archetype. Well, the 3, which we're in the 3rd millennium now, right? The 3 is the child. So we're birthing in this new integrative millennium. We're birthing a new child. We're birthing a new being, actually, that's coming about. And this new. Yes, hopefully, if we make it. I hope we make it.
No. Wait, never say that, because we're going to make it. We're going to win.
Yes.
And the golden age is around the corner, and we are going to we
our lifetime. I do.
You're here. I told you one time, we all that are alive right now, we have a box seat ticket to the greatest show in history of mankind, and we're gonna see it, and that's awesome.
Yeah. Well, and we're the pioneers. I mean, the people who are recognizing this shift, this millennial shift, or even this consciousness shift, this paradigm shift people have been talking about for some time. Those of us who are awake to that, and who are open to it and promoting it, we're in the process of giving life, right, to this energy, to bring awareness to it. And so even if it doesn't happen in our lifetime, in terms of seeing some real visible results of that at least paves the way for the younger people to pick that up and carry it. And the millennials are certainly doing that. I mean, they get a lot of criticism, but not from me. I really see that they are very open to what is coming. They, especially with their concern for the planet. I mean, you know, they're though also coming right up against the old paradigm mentality, which is very, very materialistic, and it's profit over people, right? So it's it's something that we've been living for a very long time, and now it's ending, and a new trying to the old paradigm, old way, and those old worn out, you know, ways of looking, willing to do just about anything rather than let go and evolve with the rest of us. So it's creating a lot of conflict. No, yeah.
Well, the young people,
Yeah.
the millenniums, and people like us are making a stand for the planet and for changes. I spoke
Yes.
years ago. I spoke on a talk show about it was called "Let It Shine," and I spoke about bringing down the energy. I mean, the oil companies are obsolete, and nuclear power is really obsolete. We have to change. It's vital that we go to the sources that are non-pollutant, are non-harmful, which we have, but because these old corporates don't want to let go of that money power and change with
Right.
the times. But
Yep.
but it's absolutely okay with me if they hold on to the new technology, and they can still make their same money, but just as long as we get rid of the oil and the nuclear power, and that'll really help.
Yeah. Everything that's causing harm to the planet. I mean, you know, what are we losing our children? We can't. People are bringing this new two energy, right, which is about caring and sharing and cooperating and connecting. It's all more relational. It's what I was starting to say earlier. It's just that things are certainly more relation. You have to relate everything. Nothing is compartmentalized in this new world. It's everything is impacting other things. Everything we do has an effect. It's like the butterfly effect. You know, it's the same
Exactly.
kind of thing. So even though that's always been true, because of the nature of the universe, the awareness of it is what is coming to the forefront now, and the young people are coming from that place more than from the old way of individualism and independence and separation. So it's more about connecting, and that's what's going to make the changes, because you get all these pieces together, all connect. That's how this changes.
Yes, I believe that the truth is like a stone that you throw into a lake or the water, and it ripples around the whole lake, and which is the planet, and it envelops the planet. And the truth, you can't stop it, and it's gonna. People might take time, but people are all gonna get the truth and realize that they have to step up to the plate. And a lot of young people are stepping up to the plate, which is great because they're concerned.
Right. Oh, very beautiful. Yeah, they're more about relationship. You know, when you talk about things being relational, they're into the relationship of themselves to other people, to ideas, to projects, to whatever. They're in relationship with it, but they're also then in relationship with the divine, because that is us. So our spiritual nature is being birthed in terms of awareness once by being in relationship. Wealth is actually what's informing people in these days more than it ever has, in you know, on a mass level, I should say. Yeah, and that's a very good thing, because it's bringing that connection, is bringing about these gifts that we were talking about before. You know, people having all kinds of abilities
Exactly.
to do things, and they're coming to recognition that, yeah, that's all part of what it means to be a spiritual being having a human experience.
You know that my awareness at the time that it happened, uh, that I was able to call down UFOs and I could relate with them and talk to them, understand them. It was like a time capsule that just got opened at a certain time in my life, and that's the only way I could describe it. It was like in my DNA, it was a time capsule that popped open, and at the precise time that it did. And I believe there's a lot of people going through that, and so there is a change happening.
I love that. Yeah, yeah, that's beautiful. Really like that when you said that. Yeah, and I really like what you said. We were talking earlier about the strand. You know, you were talking about that bit of DNA that's either been shut off. People are calling it junk DNA, and it's going to be reactivated, because it's time. If we can evolve enough, if we can stay in the love and stay in the light, and come from that place, then it'll activate, I believe.
Oh yes, I asked them for the strand back,
I
and I took
don't
the video.
know anything, but I have beliefs.
I uh, I asked them that because I believe totally in and living 1,000 years and changing the planet back. It's going to take a lot of work to correct everything that we did wrong. Um, so, and for them to do that, I believe they're going to give it to us, and we are going to win, and we are going to change the planet. Otherwise,
Got to work together.
and and live together in harmony. And
Yeah,
and in 1,000 years, I could build my own house. You know,
yeah,
I plan I
right. Yeah,
I plan on building my house with telephone poles because they're going to be no longer needed.
yeah. I mean, I think everything's evolving. Our ability to communicate telepathically, everything, is possible, and we're evolving from a place of love, because we can handle it more, uh, in this new paradigm. So I think they've kept their distance, waiting for us. They're going to meet us in the middle. They're waiting for us to rise up, and then they will come down and help and be with us more. But it's up to us. We have to make the effort.
And
We
that's
can't.
what we're doing here tonight, today. Uh, do you have a website or anywhere where people, your listeners, could go to?
I'm working on a new website, but the only one I have up right now is for my numerology, and that would be numerologybycandice.com.
Perfect. Listeners, did you hear that? Can you repeat it one more time?
Numerology by Candice, CANDICE.com.
Great. Well, I think our time is, we come to the end. I hope to have you as a guest again, Candice. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Namaste.
Robert. Namaste.
Yeah,
Thank you.
it's been a pleasure.
Bye.
You're
Same
absolutely,
here.
you're awesome. So for all you listeners that want to get a hold of me to be on this show called Strictly Out of the Box, you can email me, or not email me, but text me on, or friend me on Facebook, or go to robertbingham.org, and because I hope to present everybody, that as many people as I can, on what's going on with them. Thank you, Candice, again. You have a great evening.
Thanks, you too. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.